don't think so. I think we're good here. All right. So why don't we kick off the meeting here?
Okay. All right. So, all right. Good evening, everyone. Tonight is our Hastings Economic Development and Redevelopment Authority meeting, August 8th, 2024, 6 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Tonight, we have a quorum. I'd like to get a move. Goes to John. Okay, we have to
Sure.
vote on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Acting President. We've got before us, I'd like to move on the agenda to welcome Raisa Matala, who is our real estate broker in the industrial park. She's with Evoke Partners to provide an update on industrial park conditions, assessment of the market, and so forth here. So I want to make sure that, Raisa, can you hear me at all?
Yes, I can, John.
Wonderful. Okay. And I think we can hear you a little bit. I think we're playing with the volume on our end of it.
Okay, sounds good. I can talk a little louder. Hopefully that
Okay,
helps.
good. No, I think we're all set. Thanks for joining us here. And, yeah, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for having me. I apologize I'm not able to be there in person. I did have to be out of town this week for a few work commitments, but I appreciate you all adding me to the agenda. Just wanted to come in with a couple of quick updates that myself, my team, John, and Alex have discussed over the last couple of weeks, and just next steps on where we feel this park is going. As you all know, that this has been marketed for a little bit of time now, and when we first initially brought this to market, it really was a great opportunity, just given where the market was going, where development was headed, and we hit a little bit of a hiccup in the road with interest rates going up and other market factors going into effect. We've had some good, decent interest over the last couple months, and unfortunately, there have been some issues with the site that has contributed to us not being able to move forward with those prospects, whether it was power, water, sewer, and a few other great issues. At this time, our team has kind of discussed with John and Alex that it may be a moment to hit pause if, it's something that they choose to do so or think that this could be the right time to do it, just given where the market conditions are and just given where the development is heading and the access and what Hastings has in terms of other development land in the area. Additionally, there could be an option to revisit this site and maybe look at it as rezoning it from industrial to something else. I think there could be an opportunity there to look at it a little bit differently and understand if maybe a mixed use project there could actually yield a better result faster, and get the city to the end goal while not having industrial buildings or the same jobs that they were intending, but maybe in a different capacity. We've also let our team at City of Hastings know that if the decision is to continue marketing the site, we are happy to make an introduction to another fellow team that we think would be a great fit for this. But I think it may be a good opportunity to have an internal conversation. If my opinion is going on the table, it would be to hit pause for right now or readdress the zoning issue, just, due to lack of access and other factors we've discussed. We did receive an interested party in the last 2 weeks. They are looking at wanting to put in place an amusement park slash kind of like a family friendly resort. Think of something between a Valley Fair and the Mall of America water park. I've made an introduction between the potential developer with Alex and John, so we can get on a call and understand what their needs look like, timing, and honestly just qualify them as a prospect and if it would make sense. I think given what they've initially shared with me, I think there might be a water issue, but we don't want to rule it out without learning more first. But that is kind of where my update is at the time, and I'm happy to take any questions as well. But Jan, please let me know if I'm missing anything.
No, I appreciate the introduction and assessment of the market here. So folks, where we're at right now is we have a contract, obviously, with Evoke Partners that is set to expire in the next week or two. Through the discussions that we've had with Evoke, we feel it's best to not extend the contract at this time. As Raisa pointed out, as someone who knows the market and knows the people who want to get in, it's been a challenge for this site. I think what we need to do as a group is to take a look at a couple of things. One, is this site right for industrial over the longer term? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Second, is it something in which the market may change in the future? Do we have some patience in there where if we believe that industrial is a good use for this site, that we'll pause and wait and maybe the market may change in the future? We've held onto the site for an extended period of time. We've had it since the 1970s. We've had it shovel-ready now for about 7 years, 8 years or so. So we've had some patience in there. And from a holding standpoint, we don't have much for holding cost. We do lease it out for agricultural purposes. We get a little bit of income off it. I think it's more than an opportunity cost one way or the other. I mean, when we looked at the property there, we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity for good job creation and thought that this site could be the site for it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So this is a discussion that I think we as a body need to have coming up in the near future here. Certainly not looking for direction or epiphanies tonight, but more just bringing you up to speed as to what we're thinking from a staff standpoint and a consultant standpoint as to where we may go next down the park. So I can stand for any questions that you may have, and I'm sure Raisa will as well.
Arisha, this is Dave Pemble. My question goes back to, you said there's an electric issue. Is that an electric load issue into the area or what?
No, it's a power issue, capacity, and how much power can
Right.
be brought into the site. We've had conversations with Xcel Energy and, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's about a 2-year wait. And there's a max of 10 megawatts at the moment. And so Xcel Energy has communicated that they have the ability to bring in additional power, but it would be a significant time frame for that.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Would just like to point out that I do feel that the more we've worked on the site and the developers we've spoken to, both from a local level as well as a national level, I firmly do think that it does appear, in my opinion, that the site could be better suited as a mixed-use development project. And I've put the offer out to both John and Alex. Our team is happy to help coordinate those efforts and work with the city on finding the right folks who are very capable of doing that. And putting them in a position where they can kind of be set up for success and understanding if that really does make the most sense, if it's something the city is looking to help with for guidance.
Your Honor, may I ask a question? Thank you. This is Jen Fox, Raisa. Thanks for being with us. My question is more for John and Alex. We did sign, we hired a contractor to address our code and zoning needs in Hastings. Is this something that we could work or partner with? I already forgot the name of the company. With Raisa's company. With Evoke and Codometrics, and make sure that we're thinking about all of our industrial property in a good way for the future, just to make sure we're not doubling up on some of that work and we're using the resources in front of us the best we can, I guess. That's my question.
Yeah, we do have I'm sorry. Go ahead, Risa.
No, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Okay.
Please, no, go ahead.
Yeah, we've hired a consultant to revise our zoning code. They came back this week with an overview of things to be changed and general direction on things. So we're working through that. I think looking at this, we can look at uses within the industrial park under the code. From a land use standpoint, it might be a little bit outside of where they would go, but more what we'd be looking at specific for uses in the industrial park. Raisa, go ahead, please.
No, I was just gonna say, we're happy to work with the team on that. We sent a proposal out to kind of outline what that would look like ultimately. But again, John, to your point, if that's something you've already been tackling, I think stay the course, but please feel free to reach out to us if it's something that you feel like we may be on value or be able to add value to that, and we can definitely have a discussion around what that would look like.
Any other questions or comments from the group here? Okay. Well, Raisa, we thank you for joining us here tonight, and also thank you so much for the work that you and your team have helped us out in over the last couple of years here, the prospects and the good information. So look forward to continued conversations in the future and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone there tonight, both John and Alex have my contact information. So if you have any additional questions or want to run anything by me, please reach out. I'm always happy, and so is my team, to be a resource. And we've loved working with John and Alex, and we're looking forward to that continued partnership. So please don't hesitate to call, email, or text. We'll be available as much as we can.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, bye. All right. Well, that's what we have for that item for updates. So if you're comfortable, we can go back to the regular agenda here. I guess the next thing would be minutes.
Yeah, so we have the minutes from July 11th, 2024, regular meeting. If I can get a motion to approve, can I approve both minutes at the same time, or should we just do individual?
If we're comfortable doing that, we can certainly do that.
All right, so on July 22nd, 2024, special joint meeting with the city council. If I can get a motion.
So moved, Your Honor, for both of the minutes.
Second.
All right, thank you. We have those minutes approved, and next we can go on to bills.
Okay, for bills this month, got a couple of things. Alex and I have attended some conferences for the Economic Development Association of Minnesota, got some good contacts and good information there, some cell phone payments, and then for Stantec Consulting related to the Confluence. So with the Confluence, we have the development of what's termed environmental covenants, which are an assessment of environmental conditions on the property and best practices that had to be continued for this owner and future owners. So this is something that we're obligated to put together per our agreement with Confluence, so they've been doing a bulk of the work on that. So there shouldn't be too many more bills from Stantec coming up. I know that's something that, with the Confluence being open the last year, where it's maybe of a surprise to see a bill from Stantec, but it's closing down. I can stand for any questions. Okay.
Second.
Thank you. So now we'll go on to business.
Okay, for business, we have before us a permanent utility easement. Let me go up to the board here, show a better idea of what we're looking at. All right, folks. And I can look at both of them. So we're looking at a property that HEDRA owns in the northwest corner of Ramsey Street and 3rd Street. This is about a 3,000 square foot plus property, bounded on the north by property owned by Scott Sinclair, where his main company is here, and then another building he owns directly to the west. Scott has been experiencing some issues with his water line. There's been a breakage in the main line, private service that needs to be repaired. It's an unusual situation in that the water line that Scott has goes over 200 feet between the building all the way across the block to Sibley Street, right in front of the Riviera Theater. Why it's taken this long of a path to go, I couldn't say, but it's a concern for our public works individuals because the longer distance and the longer the private distance it is, the more chances for something to happen. So they would like to provide a water service line that would be of a much shorter distance to Scott and his property here. There is an additional water service located at about this point on 3rd Street. Prior to HRA purchasing the property in the mid-1980s, there was a house on site, and this was the water service for them. So Public Works would prefer that the water line be taken about 60, 70 feet from the corner of the building here to the curb stop at this location. This would impact the property that we own. And what we're asking for tonight is the authorization of signature for a utility easement that would take up just about half of the property itself, would encumber that. When you look at the long-term obligations of this, the property itself is not going to be developed on its own. It's going to be developed in coordination with one or both of the properties in the future. There's nothing immediate on the horizon as far as a redevelopment goes, but way down the line, perhaps there would be. At that time, the redevelopment of the site would most likely abandon this line and connect it more directly at the corner here. So I do not believe that the drainage and utility, or the utility easement that we would be obligating on the HEDRA property would have any long-term deficiencies for us. It does encumber the property insignificantly, but the property itself is encumbered, frankly, by its size. HEDRA may ask the question of, well, should we just consider the sale of the property all in all to Mr. Sinclair? And he's asked that in the past as well. He would like to acquire the property. As a general rule with HEDRA, we haven't sold property to an individual unless there's been a specific development. So from that policy standpoint, I've told Scott that no, we're not interested because there's not a specific development that he has at this time. So that's where we're at tonight. What we're asking for officially is the authorization of signature for the easement that's before you tonight, and I can stand for any questions.
Any questions?
John, has there never been the Ramsey Street, there's a water line in Ramsey that there's nothing there?
Nothing in Ramsey.
Okay. You know, you're talking about not selling unless there's a project imminent there, it could be developed in that property. Is it in the city's best interest to hang on to something like that where the adjacent property owner is willing to take it on and have a complete corner, basically, under one ownership? I mean, I'm just asking, it's like, is there a specific reason, like in a small property like that? I can remember when the house was there, and, you know, that's like, is there a reason? What's the dimension of that lot? Is there, you know, it's pretty small, right?
It is. It's, you know, over 3,000 square feet itself. So I mean,
Okay.
a
I mean,
regular
it-
size lot within the older part of Hastings is going to be at least twice that size. So it is a small lot. In and of itself, it really isn't usable for anything else.
Yep.
But the question you ask, Commissioner, is a good one. I mean, why would we hold on to that property over time? From a carrying cost standpoint, we don't really have much on it. We're not being taxed on it. From a maintenance standpoint, it's being done in-house right now. We're not paying anyone else, but someone does have to mow the grass and shovel the sidewalk there. So there is some labor that's done there. Why we would hold on to the property for the longer term? If the property were to develop at some point in the future, we'd have a seat at the table, and we could help to determine what would be developed on that site. So that would be one reason to hold on to it. I understand that there's not anything in the near future, and I don't know how much you'd have to look into a crystal ball to determine when something might happen on that property. So I can certainly see both views on it, but
I guess I'm just thinking, looking at it in such a small lot size, and the property owner adjacent and along to the north is the same person, and if, you know, we just clear the books and say, make an exception to the rule in this small situation, because both other buildings are in structurally, looks like, good condition. There's, you know, it's like unless somebody would come in and buy up the half a block or something there to want to redevelop it, then yes, we would have a seat at the table, but is that worth our effort? I'm just asking.
yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, if we were expending significant funds, labor
Yeah.
in holding that property, I would agree more with that one. I guess I take the view of we're not out anything by holding it. So, and I don't know what that would mean in the future, frankly, but it could. So it's not anything that I would have a really strong opinion on, but generally my recommendation would be to hold, but it's not a very strong opinion on that one.
I think probably, you know, put the water line in. I guess I would agree that that's the right thing to do, especially when you have, what, a 300-yard line right now and just serving one, building. And that's a lot of issues. In fact, didn't we just have a water break right out in the roadway from this service line?
It was, yep.
And so, yep, the sooner we could get rid of that, I'm fine with that. I just was wondering, is it a good idea to say, let her go? But I think that would be an issue when we have a full commission present. I would hate to say, let's make some kind of decision with just the four of us here.
I would agree on that one, and our HEDRA bylaws would compel that anyway to occur. And I think if that was to occur, and I've talked to Scott about the interest that he may have, he may bring forward a request to purchase that in the future. So I would wait for him to bring something forward and then make a determination at the board at that time.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we put the new water line in across the HEDRA property.
Okay. Okay, for those in favor, say yay.
Yes.
Okay, for those, yay, aye, yay, aye. For those, for those opposed, say nay. I'm sorry, that's from our sorority. We say nay, when we vote, we say yay or nay, so it's kind of,
Jen?
all right.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to reports and information.
Yes, perfect. Moving to item B, since we've covered item A, the local affordable housing aid, LAHA, update. So on July 22nd, the joint meeting was held between HEDRA and City Council to listen to the Dakota County CDA present three possible options that the city could allocate their LAHA dollars towards. The specifics of the meeting are in the attached minutes that were approved, but just a quick recap of what those three options were. Option one is to increase funding to the Home Improvement Loan Program. Option two is to fund the radon mitigation grant. And option three would be to provide gap financing for preservation and new construction projects. There's no decision or anything needs to be made, but the CDA is looking for a formal decision this fall from cities on if they want to allocate their LAHA funds to them and what option they'd be interested in. But I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Just to append onto that a little bit, yeah, we wanted to make sure that the conversation that we had at the joint meeting a couple of weeks ago was touched on tonight. As Alex pointed out, certainly not looking for any great directional items from the group, but more if there was things that, thoughts that you had that you wanted to share with us at this time. What we plan to do over the next month or two is to bring that information back more formally for discussion and perhaps a decision at that point.
All right, so next, Highway 55 small area plan.
Yeah, it's me again. On July 15th, I guess to recap, the city is engaging in a concept area, small area plan for the western side of the city along Highway 55 and Jacob Avenue. And the reason that this project came about is there are existing private landowners that are currently outside the city limits that expressed interest of possibly developing and therefore wanting to be annexed into the city and looking for guidance for what the city would like to see developed in that area. So the city is trying to be proactive in seeing what might be developable in that area. We're not seeking to annex land to develop the area. It's just, should people approach us, we want to be prepared for what could be presented. So on July 15th, staff had a kickoff meeting with our consultant team, which is led by HKGI Consulting, and then they're also working with Loci and SEH. And we outlined the kind of strategy for that small area plan. We finalized the plan area itself, added a couple of 40-acre parcels when just for better infrastructure planning. And right now, we are working on compiling a list of requested background data for the consultant group so that they can start their market analysis side of things and then begin the first part of the engagement process, which is connecting with all of the various private landowners to, at the very start of it, to see if they have plans, to develop that land or if they plan to keep it agricultural for forever. And if that's the case, it's fine either way. We just are looking to gather that information so that then going forward, we know what areas have what appetites. Yeah, that is kind of where we are at with that project. This is slated to go through complete around January, February of next year. So we're just at the beginnings of it, but we're excited to work with the team. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. No questions, Your Honor. I just want to compliment Alex, I think it's important to emphasize, I know we've said this before as a team, but the city does not own this property and is not developing it ourselves. So thank you for being very clear for our community about that. We're just making sure that if a developer is interested, we know what could go there. So thank you.
Yeah, so this one's fairly short and straightforward, but we received the quarterly report from Open to Business, the small business consulting service that we take part of as a county. And year-to-date, 7 Hastings businesses and 3 Hastings residents have received consulting services, and that's out of a total of 110 year-to-date in Dakota County. Yeah, there's a full report in the minutes, but I'm happy to stand for any questions.
All right, next we have development updates.
All right. Well, over the last month, a few things have been going on in the development world. We have moved closer to selling the property for Rio Grande Express Trucking. This is an industrial park piece for the Trunking Company. They did receive approval at council for the site plan, and we have established a closing date of August 19th. So once we get the building plans in and an initial review done by our building official to confirm all is well, then we'll move forward with that. So that's great news. That is moving forward. Also moving forward, United Heroes League, their stadium seating and locker room plans out on Ravenna Trail. Those are just about done going through building permit review at this point. So I think those will be set to issue very shortly. Alex had mentioned the small area plan that we're working on. And our building official, Lonnie Johnson, has established monthly meetings with the owner of 315 Pine Street, Thorwood. So he goes in there, meets with them once a month to assess progress. The last one of those was about a week ago. And from the month that we were last in there, he did see progress that occurred on the first floor with more framing and more demolition occurring within the structures. So things are working their way through. He still has a goal of being able to make it weather tight by the end of the year. Talking to Lonnie, it sounds like that goal is doable. So we'll continue to move on that. I think another question that people have been wondering is the Vermillion Senior Housing Development on County Road 47. I did reach out to the developer of that. I did not get a lot of specificity, but I was told that they're still working on producing a few more modular units, and then things will be happening in the near future. I've asked him for some more specifics on there and awaiting that information. So I know that's been a curiosity by many in the community as to what's happening there. Another update would be on our zoning code. We have, I guess I did talk about this earlier, we're meeting next week with Codametrics to go over kind of their high-level assessment of our zoning code, how they would structure it out. There's going to be some public processes coming up later on this fall. I believe in September, we're going to be meeting with our planning commission to go over that with them, and then other public opportunities probably in November of this year. So I think that's most of what I've got on the update section of things. Thank you. And then I do have one more item too, and a President, for the HEDRA's consideration. If we could add one more item to the agenda pertaining to closing the regular session and adjourning into a closed-door session for the purpose of looking at a potential real estate transaction. This transaction would be at the corner of Pleasant Drive and South Frontage Road. It is currently under contract by us through Mint Development. I do have some details and a couple of items that I'd like to share with you pertaining to the negotiation of the property and things that might be occurring. So if you would be amenable to adding that to the agenda, and then if that's the case, then we could close the regular meeting and then we'll adjourn into a closed-door session in the volunteer room. Upon that, we'd close the regular door session over there. For folks that might be watching, there wouldn't be any further action other than the closing of the regular meeting upon the closed-door session. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so we're going to close, right?
Yep, we take a motion.
I call for a motion to close, all right, to close the regular meeting.
So moved, Your Honor.
All right,
Second.
okay.